Hello, this is John Egan in Honolulu, and I have one more definition I want to add to our list of terms. These are building our vocabulary of terms that relate to international humanitarian assistance. And I want to talk about the definition of the term international organization. And this has a very specific definition in international law. Everybody has a sense of what an international organization is, but it's very useful to get a better idea of what's going on in the field to have the legal definition along with the sort of general definition. And when we go to these sort of definitions, we go to two places. One is here in the United States, the Restatement of the Law of Foreign Relations, which is a treatise that talks about the definitions. When we're not using that, that's very much based for United States law, but it is in turn based on the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, which is an international convention that gives a lot of the terminology that we're using here. So there's an international basis for this as well. Essentially, an international organization is an organization that is created by an international agreement. And as we know, international agreements are the same as treaties. Well, international, again, we talk about international law. International organizations are set up on a relationship from state to state between countries. In addition, you will find that typically an international organization has certain other characteristics, a headquarters somewhere, a staff, a legal basis within the countries that it operates, a budget. These are all sort of characteristics as well. The critical piece of information to know is that an international organization is based on a treaty. So it's part of treaty law, and the membership of international organizations is parties to the treaty that created it. So an international organization derives its mandate from a treaty. The basis of that treaty is that nation states have signed the agreement and have become bound by it, and typically then are going to be the funders of the international organization. As well, the defining document, the Articles of Incorporation, so to speak, the treaty that sets up the international organization, grants the organization status under law. So it is able to act to do such things as to own property, to rent premises, to engage staff. In order to do all of these things, the entity has to have some legal characteristic, and that's how we get these things, is through the process of developing a treaty, an international agreement to form up the international organization. In fact, international organizations share some of the very characteristics of nation states. They have some of the same rights and duties and responsibilities. This is one of the ways you can see that. The United Nations is, of course, an international organization based in the Charter of the United Nations, and they give out a passport, a blue passport, that identifies someone and allows them to travel, laissez-passer. Obviously, it's well known that nation states are the entities in international law that are allowed to give out passports, but some international organizations as well are able to give out passports in their own name. Again, an idea of some of the shared attributes that international organizations have with existing states. A good example of an international organization based in a treaty with a specific mandate would be the International Committee of the Red Cross. It is the recognized international organization, and its treaty basis, the Geneva Conventions, give it the responsibility in international law for the promotion of international humanitarian law. They are also charged with compliance, monitoring the compliance with international humanitarian law, and because of the characteristics of their mandate, and because their mandate is now nearly universal, they can go ahead and monitor humanitarian law for violations anywhere in the world, regardless of whether or not a country has permitted them to do so. ICRC also combines its responsibilities as a custodian of the Geneva Conventions with an active field relief operation. So that's also part of their mandate. That's defined in their organizing documents. There are many other international organizations involved with humanitarian assistance, and you'll encounter them as you become familiar with field operations generally. Some of them are part of the United Nations system. As an example, the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, the High Commissioner for Refugees, the World Food Program, many other UN organizations involved with humanitarian relief, who are part of the United Nations system, but also are independently recognized as international organizations. And there are many organizations outside of the UN system as well. For example, the International Organization for Migration or the Pan American Health Organization. All of these organizations are out there doing work in the humanitarian world. They have a different set of ground rules for what they're allowed to do and what they're limited from doing. And understanding the mandate of the different types of organizations that are active in humanitarian work is a critical part of understanding the whole picture. In this particular case, we're hoping that you'll get a little bit more understanding of how international organizations fit into the bigger picture, and hope that that helps you to understand the stakeholders in the international humanitarian assistance field.